This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today we find ourselves back in space, where we'll find ourselves in new modules, grabbing artifacts and trying to get out of the pods, but this time there's a lot of schemes that will happen so that when Lord Eradicus hits us, bad things will happen even worse, and there's all sorts of new cards and such. Today we're taking a look at Clank In Space Apocalypse. This is the expansion for Clank In Space. Let me show you briefly how it works. I'll see you on the other side. The biggest change in this expansion are things called schemes. Now there's 8 of these different scheme cards that come in the game, and there's different levels. Category 1 is sort of level 1, there's a category 2s, and there's category 3s as well. Also, if for added thematic benefits, they give you a new figure that you can use instead of the Lord Eradicus when you're playing with the expansion. So how these work are, when you draw black cubes from the bag, they used to not really do a whole lot, but now they're starting to work towards the schemes. And if ever one of these gets completely filled up, it activates. So in this case, each player would trash 2 programs from their hand. After this, it would continue to fill this up, and if you get this, then you'd have to flip over the Goblin card. You remember this is the one that you can kind of kill on each turn. Well, you would flip it over, and now it would be a Rattabot. And if you get to this, Upload Network, once you get all of this filled, this has an ongoing thing going on, which means you'll pull +1 cube for all boss attacks for the rest of the game. Well, this sounds all good. It makes the game harder. It makes these black cubes do things, but there's a lot more about these black cubes in this one. First of all, you can remove them. If a scheme is not completely full, you can do certain things on the scheme to be able to remove them. In this case, you can discard a program, which is to take a black cube. So in this case, you discard a program, which is a card in your hand, and you'll take one of these black cubes, and now you have that cube. And if you're in the mainframe module, you also draw a card. That's because this game actually also has 2 new modules that you can put into the board, and you'll play with specific ones depending on the different schemes, and these are all double-sided, and there's also different things that you can do with these black cubes now that's in this expansion. So once you have a cube, let's talk about the different things you can do with those. Well, first of all, every black cube you have at the end of the game is worth a point, but there's many other things you can do. On the mainframe module, if you're in this spot or this spot, you can turn in one of the black cubes you have for either 3 credits or to draw 2 cards. On the other side of that mainframe, we have the hangar. It's again a new module, and you can turn a black cube here for -3 clank or for 3 credits. Here on the portal chamber, you can turn a black cube for one of the power crystals, or again 3 credits, or you can flip this over and again credits or health. So you can spend things on the board, but there's also things in the cards you can do. Now there's 35 cards that come in the game, and here are just some of them that do different things with the cubes. For example, you spend a cube and you do what the effect says. You're getting 4 swords. You're teleporting to an adjacent space to your current module. 2 cubes will get you 10 credits. You can spend 1 to draw 3 cards. Use the effect of one of the data ports that you've already hacked. You can put a cube on your supply onto an artifact or escape pod, and an opponent must pay you 5 credits to take that token. That's really cool. Spend 1 to acquire a memory core, and then here the boss attacks, but you take no damage. And then here you take a secret in your current module. So all different ways to use the cubes instead of just keeping them for points at the end of the game. Now here's some other cards that do a little bit with the black cubes. This one, when it arrives, you place a black cube from the bag, put it on the scheme. Both of these do these when it arrives. However, this one allows you to take a black cube if you trash any card. 2 monsters or enemies that you're trying to defeat. And so this one here, if you defeat it, you can take a black cube. So different things like that. Now there's other cards that allow you to do a lot of different things. Like this one says, when you acquire it, you don't have to stop at any security checkpoint. That's kind of cool. This one, you can use 2 different things, one of the factions or a power crystal. Look at this, 4 different ways to use the extra abilities on this card. That's pretty cool. Or in this one, you can -2 clank, or each opponent gets a clank, or you could do this, or you could do both if you have that specific faction. So they did a little bit more with the factions here as well, activating different things. Now here's some of the other schemes. Again, we have a level 1, category level 2, and a level 3. There's actually another one that's a level 3. But you can see you can do different things to take black cube. You could spend 2 skill to take 1 back. You could spend swords equal to the scheme's current phase, 1, 2, or 3. You could spend boots to take back a black cube. And it gets harder. You can spend 3 swords to take a black cube, but if you're in the portal chamber, then you spend 2. Here you spend 2 credits Or if you have that faction, you spend 1. So different ways to spend different things in order to take back the black cubes. And again, the ongoing abilities, once these things totally fill up, level 1 might be abilities requiring the resistance faction can't be used. But all the way to level 3, players can't use the hyperlift or buy from the market. They also don't have to stop at security checkpoints. So lots of big things. Or this is the worst one. Black cubes pulled from the bag are now treated as bounty hunter cards. Ouch. So you can randomly play with one or play with a random one from a specific level, or just pick one if you like. And you can pause it here to read all the different abilities. Alright, so Clank In Space Apocalypse. First thing is the new modules. Now the base game already had a ton of replayability because it was a modular board. You could change them out, you could use different ones, you could flip them over, and it already had a lot of base replayability, but this adds even more to that. And anytime you're going to add more replayability to an expansion, that's always a good idea. Now it's almost exponentially more. But the cool thing is those mate together with the next thing, which is, I think, the biggest thing in this expansion are the schemes. And they're really cool because the schemes are going to now use those black cubes that used to just really do nothing, and now they're going to start getting put on schemes and possibly trigger bad things happening. And there's different levels. There's category 1, 2, or 3. There's different ones that you can choose each game, and that's going to add to the replayability. But a lot of the newer modules are built, and you have to play them with specific schemes. And so they sort of work them together because a lot of those new modules have places to use those black cubes and get certain abilities from the schemes, which is really cool. So I like those schemes. I like how it ramps things up. It makes you want to go there and try to get those black cubes off to stop things from happening, but you can also use those. So the schemes using those black cubes is just a brilliant idea. It doesn't overcomplicate the game. It just adds one little new mechanism that's easy to handle, easy to upkeep, and it adds a new wrinkle. And again, the replayability of the different schemes adds to that. I like that you can spend skills on the cards that you play to remove those black cubes, because sometimes you might not want something to happen. Sometimes those are so situational that some of those bad things that happen if a scheme gets completed will hurt you worse than other players, and so you'll want to be working to get those black cubes off. Or sometimes you'll just play those skill cards to get the black cubes off, and you can just use them as points at the end, which is cool. Or you can use some of the new cards that can also take or use some of those black cubes to do different things. So you've got places on the modular boards that can do things. You've got cards that will allow you to do things, and all different things that allow you to now use these cool black cubes that used to do nothing before, and now you can either use them as points at the end or use them as abilities and ways to do different things. So I liked all that. I liked all the new cards. Again, that's always going to make things fresh, and a lot of them obviously have to do with the specific black cubes. So again, there's not like a huge amount here, but from what they added, the two new modules, all the new cards, and the schemes, just enough to add another shot in the arm in this game, which in my opinion didn't even really need one, because again, the base game is so good with all the modularity in it. But again, adding this new wrinkle, I really enjoyed it. So if you like Clank In Space, this is really a no-brainer. That's going to add another wrinkle and make you play the game a little bit differently and have one more layer of things to think about, and that's Clank In Space Apocalypse.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.